Hey guys, Omni here. We are back for our weekly recap and breakdown for Marvel's What If. New Rockstars is bringing us our latest breakdown for the Killmonger episode. Looks like Eric might be taking a little bit of a vacation today because we are here with MT of New Rockstars, who's going to be doing this breakdown. So it might be a little bit of a change of pace for some of you guys, but he's just as good. But let's go ahead and let's see what we got. If you haven't checked out my reaction to this week's episode, check it out. It's definitely, as of what we got so far, probably top 5 out of the 6 we have so far for sure. Top 3. I'll say it's top 3 for me right now. I think. I feel like by the end of this, we'll probably do like a ranking of all my favorite what ifs at some point. But anyway, that all said and down the way, let's go ahead and check this out. Here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. It's me, MT, and this is a breakdown of episode 6 of What If, where Black Panther fans everywhere are given the treat of the return of Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger to the MCU, in a scenario where Killmonger was the one to save Tony Stark in Afghanistan, rather than Tony being saved by a box of...
Now, somebody mentioned this in the comments, and I didn't think anything of it until afterwards, and like just seeing it again in that shot. He's a Dragon Ball Z fan. The coloration of that, and like even with the straps right there, very much calls upon a little bit of Vegeta aesthetic. Not gonna lie, with the Saiyan armor. Intentional? Don't know. In the movie, it was a little desaturated, but here, it's definitely the colors.
The scraps, you know, like a normal person. But let us go ahead and get into all those neat little Easter eggs and things that you could have missed from this Iron Man-ass Black Panther crossover episode, shall we, my beautiful nerd babies? I think we shall. And right off the bat, we start off the episode with Uatu the Watcher stating, "Every journey has a beginning," and Jeffrey writes, "Deeply mysterious, sultry voice that his mama gave him." Before we watch The Watcher, watch over the very beginnings of our journey through the MCU through the recreation of the very same opening shots from Iron Man 1 from right before Tony Stark's military convoy is attacked in the Kunar province of Afghanistan, with a few exceptions here and there. Like how the soldier named Jimmy who asks Tony for a picture holds up a camera in What If, but in the movie, he doesn't grab his camera until after Tony says it's okay. And also how the bullet holes that end up murdering poor soldier Jimmy shortly after are slightly different than in live action. Like it has a different spread. And you know, I've got to say it, but there is a glaringly apparent lack of both AC/DC's Back in Black and references to MySpace.com like we got in the live action movie, which is rude. Tom was your friend too, Marvel. Tom was your friend too. And after Tony does a skedaddle out of the convoy, we do notice that animated Tony uses a flip phone while RDJ kept that sidekick thing on him, because how else is he going to replace Terrence Howard Rhodey with Don Cheadle Rhodey in his MySpace top 5? Exactly.
More things are different than we would have thought in this
Iron
world.
Man 1 is basically a period piece now. And then this leads us to our major Nexus event of the episode, Eric Killmonger yeeting the missile that would have embedded shrapnel into Tony Stark's body, forcing Tony to develop a miniaturized arc reactor and the first Iron Man suit to save his own life. And Killmonger's theme music from the Black Panther score plays in the background while Killmonger shoots and murders a ton of off-screen Ten Rings terrorists like this bitch had aimbot installed in his cranium. And I think that these animated movements could have been an intentional callback to that time where Everett Ross describes Killmonger's time in Afghanistan in Black Panther 1.
Joined the SEALs and went straight to Afghanistan, where he wrapped up confirmed kills like it was a video game.
And I do really dig this quick shot of Tony
Nice
grasping
catch.
Killmonger's wrist as he helps him up, because I believe that this shot is supposed to reflect a Spartan handshake, you know, to represent the new alliance/bond that these two now have together. And I also really love how we get to see Killmonger say that his name is a nickname in Afghanistan after Everett Ross alluded to him getting the nickname in Afghanistan in Black Panther 1. So it's cool to see that period when that name is like fresh because he just got it. And after the Watcher watches the beginnings of this very unfortunate new relationship, we get animated shots of the 3 most iconic moments of Tony Stark's journey as a hero in, you know, the good universe. The forging of the first Iron Man mask in the cave, the formation of the Avengers in New York, and finally, his final sacrifice in Avengers Endgame. And I especially love how when Uatu says the word forge, that we do get the shot of animated Tony forging his suit. However, in this instance, when he's banging on the box of Scrappy mask in What If, I did notice that Tony's box of Scrappy reactor in his chest glows a lot brighter and wider than Robert Downey Jr.'s more subtle reactor in the movie. And also, this animated Tony doesn't seem to have the glow of a fire source coming from the right side of the frame like RDJ does in the movie. And also, while the iconic Avengers pan from the movie, of course, starts off with Hulk screaming at us at the camera in Avengers 1, here we see it start with Iron Man before the Hulk screams. So like we kind of get like a couple seconds before that iconic shot with Iron Man starting it off. And also when animated Endgame Tony snaps, there's a lot more delay before the screen goes to white than there is in Endgame. But anyways, moving on, when Tony begins his press conference, he notes that the drink that he was holding on the convoy was actually a Macallan whiskey from the year 1926, a bottle of which in the real world recently sold for a whopping $1.2 million. So yeah, I would be kind of upset too. Just one glass of that alcohol juice is worth more than my entire life. But anyways, after Tony announces Killmonger as his new chief security officer for Stark Industries, a job that was originally given to Happy Hogan in our timeline in Iron Man 3, which is why we see an unhappy Hogan here, Christine Everhart, the very same reporter that Tony Stark spends a night with at the very beginning of the first Iron Man film, is the one to ask what exactly Eric Killmonger was doing in Afghanistan in the first place, with actress Leslie Bibb reprising her role as Christine. But not reprising their role for this episode is Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane, with the voice actor Kith Van Den Heuvel doing a pretty damn good impression instead. Like, he does a fantastic job at capturing the exaggerated swagger of a greedy corporate executive who just got caught trying to assassinate the head of a major weapons company that Jeff Bridges just perfected in that role. Like, that exaggerated swagger is just hard to replicate.
With a box of scraps!
And I freaking love this Monger matchup here with the Killmonger having taken down the Ironmonger by dropping all of Stane's 10 Rings tea online Black Widow style. You know, because Black Widow did that at the end of Winter Soldier like a boss. Tea Eric procured during his time undercover in the 10 Rings. And all of this while the heartbeat-like thud of Ludwig Göransson's Killmonger theme plays in the background yet again. And
the music was really good in this episode.
Because Ludwig Göransson is the man, son. But anyways, after Tony Stark says a wildly inappropriate sex joke about Maxim models coming for the king on the Disneyman.com, Tony Stark offers Killmonger Obadiah's job that Tony originally does give to Pepper in Iron Man 2 and says,
"You, me, will be like Butch and Sundance,"
which is of course a reference to the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, starring Hydra's very own Robert Redford, which is like another instance in the MCU where Tony Stark mentions a movie where a co-star of his also starred in. You know, like that time Tony Stark mentioned The Big Lebowski in Endgame. And all this then leads us to seeing Pepper have a chat with Don Cheadle's James Rhodes, marking the second time What If has inserted an MCU recast into their acting predecessor's MCU time period, with the first instance being Mark Ruffalo's Hulk replacing Edward Norton's Hulk in episode 3 of What If. And later, when Tony and Killmonger hang out in Tony's Iron Man 1 garage, Killmonger picks up a portable version of the Jericho missile that Tony Stark was apparently working on even before he originally demonstrated the real thing in Afghanistan. And like, the design of it kind of reminds me of how S.H.I.E.L.D. miniaturized the Asgardian destroyer armor in Avengers 1. You know, the same gun that Coulson shoots Loki with before he dies like a badass. If I'm gonna go, I want to go shooting an Asgardian asshole. And then shortly after, Killmonger quotes Howard Stark's line,
"That's right. Peace means having a bigger stick than the other guy."
My old man had a philosophy. Peace means having a bigger stick than the other guy.
And when Eric tells Tony that his dad was killed by gang violence, we already know that Michael be lying, because we already done seen his dad get murdered by King T'Chaka in Black Panther 1. And Killmonger knew that his father was murdered by Panther Claws.
I found my daddy with Panther Claws in his chest.
And also, can we please talk about how Tony already had access to MIT's doctoral thesis database when pulling up Killmonger's plans for the Liberator mechs? Because this definitely feels like both a reference to Tony Stark's affinity for MIT that we see in Civil War, but it also makes me feel that maybe, just maybe,
their campus
we'll find
is
out that Tony
gorgeous,
Stark
man.
was well aware of Riri Williams' genius before he passed away in
Had a
Endgame.
lot
when we
of fun
see
making a
Riri
trip
at
up there.
MIT in Wakanda Forever and her Ironheart series. I'm starting to get this weird weird vibe that Tony has been looking for a protege this entire time, which is why he's so readily accepting Killmonger as his like pseudo son, because Peter Parker at this age is just a young boy. Like, we haven't seen him yet in Iron Man 2, about to get shot by those hammer drones. But anyways, moving on, this anime Gundam inspired design of Eric's Wakanda liberating liberators was 100% inspired by actor Michael B. Jordan's deep love for the anime medium. You know, much like the
Gundam
design for
Wing, man.
Killmonger's
Hell
entire
yeah.
outfit in Black Panther was revealed to have been designed with Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z in mind. Because us weebs
Legit.
are
Holy
taking over
shit.
the world. Which then
So that's
kicks us
real.
off into a building montage with
Not just
Tony
an
and Eric,
assumption.
akin
Hell
to the
yeah.
montage that we get in Iron Man 1 when Tony was first building his Mark II armor.
Didn't he also have his own? I remember this because I wanted to get some of them, but it was so wickedly expensive. He had a Naruto clothing line for a minute that he did a collab with some company. I can't remember, or it was just his own, where he did like a Naruto themed clothing line. It was not cheap, so I did not obtain any.
But before this, Tony does mention,
Need FPV wiring, nanocircuitry, and Bloody Marys. Hangover's starting to kick in.
which kind of makes you see the wonders being a hero has done for Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony's alcoholism problem, which is, of course, something the character has historically struggled with a lot more in the comics. But in this universe, Tony seems to drink a lot more than we ever see him drink in the MCU. Like,
Well,
he literally
except for
drops
when
a
he's
glass
dying
of
in Iron Man
whiskey as
2.
he's dying. But anyways, while Tony and Eric are thinking of power sources for the mechs, eventually deciding on vibranium, much like Ultron did in Age of Ultron with his vibranium core for Sokovia, it kind of reminds me of that shot of Tony, Nat, and Bruce planning the New York time heist together. And I was also cracking up when Tony almost had the idea for a mini arc reactor.
If we could miniaturize
Yeah.
an arc reactor, oh, that's a dumb idea.
But anyways, Tony eventually recruits the help of Ulysses Klaue, the notorious Black Panther villain with a killer sound system for an arm that was originally introduced in Age of Ultron. And
can't
that's
wait
when
to
Tony
see
says
Venom,
that
man.
He met Klaue at a weapons conference in the past where he found out about Klaue's interest in this
If you don't know, it's because Andy Serkis is directing Venom 2.
hot new African rock that all the kids are talking about. It's gonna be all the rage. So this 2008 Tony reaching out to Klaue makes a lot of sense. And also the office where the three talk about Klaue is a recreation of Tony's office from Iron Man 1, which is pretty fun. But anyways, when Rhodey meets up with Klaue to make a deal at Klaue's same South African salvage shipyard from Age of Ultron, Klaue managed to procure a spear from one of Wakanda's Dora Milaje, which apparently are worth $10 million a pop. So needless to say, Johnny Mayonnaise experienced the world's most expensive ass beating in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Goddamn. Anyways, speaking
Johnny
of ass beatings,
Mayonnaise.
T'Challa, of course, gave a whole helping to Klaue's unfortunate partners in crime from the shadows, harkening back to that initial stealth scene of T'Challa stalking that convoy in the
Oh,
jungle
such a good
in Black
shot.
Panther. But unfortunately, as deadly as T'Challa was, both him and his MCU brother were killed by the hand of another MCU brother, a hand that was holding a new version of the Stark Industries sonic taser that, if you remember from Iron Man 1, was used by Obadiah Stane on more than one occasion. Like, I'm actually starting to wonder if Ulysses Klaue's
okay.
arm in the
That's why the
MCU is
veins are
based off
showing.
of
I
the sonic
completely
taser
forgot about that
and
little
also,
doohickey.
T'Challa dying by the hands of a sonic weapon at Klaue's place is definitely an allusion towards T'Challa's many dealings with the sonic-powered Klaue in the comics. Because in the comics, Klaue is essentially Black Panther's Joker. Like, that is his nemesis. But anyways, moving on, when T'Challa's body
Did
is
not
being
know that.
distorted by the Dora Milaje, the words Wakanda Forever can be seen written on his casket in the native Wakandan language, which of course serves as a soft tribute to the late Chadwick Boseman. But anyways, when Tony is confronted
God, I wonder how much of this, again, I've talked about this in the breakdown, how much of this maybe was done in post, like after his recordings had all been done. Because not just like the symbolism and the way certain things were framed, obviously with, we're not there yet, but when his mother, you know, for T'Challa at the end, and a lot of T'Challa's lines in each episode he's appeared in has been very, like, eerily, like, hauntingly beautiful to, like, carry on his message, his memory, his idealism, and after his passing. With none of that, obviously they couldn't have recreated it or re-recorded it, but like, it's just like a lot of that stuff, it's just so like haunting how much more impactful it is now, each of his lines, when he's gone, especially in this episode with the afterlife scene as well. It's just like they couldn't have planned any of that stuff. Now the stuff where they didn't have his voice tied in, like the Wakanda Forever on the casket and all that stuff, like anything any other character could say, that could have easily been reworked around to like and re-recorded to kind of frame things that way. But man, all of his dialogue in each appearance, and we still have one episode that he's slated to record in left, so it's just like weird, it's just strange, but beautiful all at the same time how things kind of worked out that way, just in a retrospective way with the unfortunate passing of his. It's just like carrying on his spirit when they didn't really have a clue that was going to be coming down the pipeline. They were writing all these lines and had no idea that it was going to have a double meaning in the end.
Confronting Killmonger about the murder of his best friend Rhodey, he pulls up a holographic model of the murder scene. If you remember, Tony also does this in Iron Man 3 when he recreates the sites of all the Mandarin bombings to play detective. But something I find really interesting after Eric kills Tony is the relationship between Killmonger and General Ross, because it kind of seems to mirror the relationship that T'Challa had with his military Ross, because he had Everett Ross, and now Killmonger has asshole Ross. Not as fun as Everett. Everett's a nice guy. So many Wakandan shenanigans to be done with a white Ross, let me tell you. Grab a white Ross today. But anyways, when Killmonger and Claw
just not Geller. I don't know how good you'll do with that one.
Claw learns before he is shot is that he's been working with a Wakandan this entire time. The same Wakandans that he thinks are savages. And this is a lot like he did in the movie, which I thought was a nice touch.
You savages didn't deserve it.
However, unlike the movie, this Killmonger reveals his Wakandan lip tattoo outside as he approaches Wakanda, whereas in the movie we don't get to see that Michael B. bottom lip until Eric kills Claw. But anyways, shortly after this, we find out the badass Black Panther fact that Angela Bassett's Queen Ramonda was a freaking general of the Wakandan army, which makes a lot of sense considering that the Wakandan army is pretty much female dominated. And I very much love how both the King and Queen of Wakanda aren't afraid to get their hands dirty when they have to. Like, they're kind of like Odin and Frigga in that way. And when Killmonger's liberators finally breach through Wakanda's barriers to liberate Wakanda from Eric's family, we get to see the world's reaction to discovering the true opulence of Wakanda for the very first time through the eyes of General Ross. Undoubtedly giving this universe's Wakanda even more geopolitical enemies, because everyone wants that sweet ass vibranium, and no one's gonna like finding out that this African nation is the most powerful and most technologically advanced nation in the world. And after that crazy final battle that ends with yet another subtle, tearful tribute to T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman by Queen Ramonda, we have Killmonger and T'Chaka enjoying a Wakandan sunset together in the same way that him and T'Challa did in Black Panther, but this time with Killmonger on his feet in victory rather than on his knees in defeat. And there he would, of course, trick his uncle into making him the next Black Panther. But instead of seeing his father in the ancestral plane, Killmonger has a contentious conversation with his cousin T'Challa instead. And man, I don't know about you, but seeing Chadwick Boseman as a panther on that panther tree hit me where I live, man, because it's really wild to think that Chadwick recorded this scene while going through all of that pain that he was going through himself. So rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. We really appreciate everything that you've done. And of course, the episode ends with Shuri and Pepper, the only smart people in this universe apparently, meeting up to potentially do something about their
Killmonger, man.
But not before Ross notes that they're ready to launch a bunch of Tony's crazy powerful Jericho missiles at Wakanda. I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but it's for sure going to be some messy shit. Though I do secretly hope that Shuri and Pepper team up to make Wakandan Iron Man suits, because let's be real, making an Iron Man suit kind of science fair ass shit for Shuri. And Iron Man suits do not exist in this universe, so it'd be really cool to see Shuri come up with the idea for the Iron Man concept. But yeah, that is it for our breakdown for episode 6 of What If.
What if Shuri became
Let us know
Iron Man, like purely made out of vibranium?
But anyways, thank you guys.
Somehow like incorporating her like her, what are those, sonic blasters, her like Mega Man gauntlets into the suit itself, and pow, 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 pow. That'd be sweet. That'd be pretty badass. Anyway, guys, another solid breakdown. You know, we didn't have Eric, but MT carried us through, and I like watching a lot of his videos too. I know we don't see him too often on this channel, like when we're reacting to this kind of stuff. It's usually Eric, but he does fantastic stuff too. So I definitely recommend checking out any of the videos that he heads as well. I love how much of Michael B. Jordan just kind of bleeds into this kind of stuff now, man. It's really interesting and hilarious from the Gundam to the Vegeta aesthetic. Michael B. Jordan, man. He's one of us. He's one of us, man. I really dug this episode, though. I really did. I like the parallels. I like just how it also, while it didn't change Killmonger as a character, it just kept him just as menacing as he was. It just goes to show just how, like, intimidating and calculating of a villain he was. Like, even more so than Black Panther did, because he kind of, showed off in that one as well, and he did a fantastic job getting to a head, and it just shows, like, had he gone another route, it could have been even more devastating for everything. He's a force to be reckoned with. Definitely one of the best villains the MCU has brought to life. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I can't wait to see where they're going with this. So apparently, some people had mentioned that it might work that there's a lot of these episodes have kind of like a part 2-ish kind of ending coming up later in the season. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll kind of see. We know at least 2 of the universes cross over from the initial trailer. I still haven't watched the mid-season teaser thing that they put out the other day. Still not going to. Funny enough, New Rockstars, which a lot of people were like, had made a comment when I had mentioned that I hadn't seen that trailer yet, that people were like, oh, New Rockstars is going to ruin your day then. Because they did last time, what was it, Loki, I think, where they were talking about the mid-season trailer that got brought out for Loki, and I still refused to watch it, but then they referenced it multiple times in the next breakdown, which makes sense, as they would, to use whatever they can to kind of pull their theories and references together. So should have expected that, but oddly enough, nothing here yet. So, woo, still spoiled free. Anyway, guys, what'd you think of this week's episode? What are you looking forward to with the remainder of the season? Maybe season 2? What was your favorite bit of the episode? What's your favorite anime for you weebs out there? Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. We can carry on that conversation on my socials or my Discord if you want to join those. Links to all of that is in the description of this video. And before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Mandy Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yuri Kurskov, and Margaret Grace. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. And I will see you guys next week with the next episode of Marvel's What If. Take care, everybody.